India going to space is not the only significant achievement it's had in recent years. The country has been making growths that are going under the radar, which has lifted it from being the world's poverty capital. How has the country been able to achieve this? This is the top 10 reasons why India is not poor anymore. Number 10. Infrastructure development. Infrastructure development in India, including roads, bridges, and airports, is bolstering connectivity, reducing logistical obstacles, and spurring economic activity. To maximize the potential of its economy, India has been improving key infrastructures that promote easy transportation. These investments attract both domestic and international attention, creating jobs and stimulating productivity. India's focus on infrastructure promises a more prosperous future for its citizens and a stronger global presence. Number 9. Promoting entrepreneurship. India's entrepreneurial landscape has witnessed remarkable growth, particularly in its thriving startup and small and medium-sized enterprise sectors. These startups foster innovation across various industries, from technology and e-commerce to healthcare and fintech. Startups are now vital job creators and address societal issues. Indian startups gain global recognition and expand, further enriching the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Number 8. Diversifying the economy. One of the smartest things India has done is to diversify its economy. This diversification has allowed the Indian economy to become more stable and capable of withstanding shocks. Now, if there's a slowdown in one of its sectors, two more can prop it up. In addition, the country has multiple trading partners to match the multiple items that it uses to trade. Also, the nation now exports more, with its citizens capable of purchasing more. Did you know India is the third largest economy in the world if you look at it from an angle of purchasing power? And apart from being able to purchase, the country's labor has become even more productive. Number 7. Tourism. I know, you probably think India isn't Dubai. What is this about tourism? India has attractive tourist destinations and a cultural heritage that provides value for tourists, and Forbes has ranked it the 7th most beautiful country in the world. The South Asian nation is not yet on the level of the United States, China, and Germany, the current leaders of tourist countries. The three countries made $2 trillion, $583 billion, and $353 billion respectively in 2022. And India is on a course to catch up with them. At least Germany at first, as it made more than $180 billion in 2022 and is projected to make nearly $200 billion in 2023. With this amount in India's economy, can you see why it's no longer poor? Number 6. IT and IT-enabled services. This service is one of the results of India's emphasis on education, as it's one of the largest service sectors in India, with a revenue that has reached $3.1 trillion. The sector which carries along the financial services and other services is key to India's development both in the present and the future. Taking advantage of India's predominantly young population, the service can fully integrate technology to improve customer experience. Looking at India's fintech market, which is one of the fastest growing in the world, for instance, the sector used technology to upstage the stagnant financial services in India and link up with global financial centers. The country's young population makes technology integration into India's economy possible, although it doesn't exclude the older generation. Rather, there's been even improved access to financial services with an increased financial inclusion rate. The sector also provides work for youths who have been now gainfully employed, which in turn has grown the country and pushed it out of poverty. Number 5. Industry. The country has a thriving industrial sector that provides 27.6% of its GDP and employs more than 17% of the total labor in the country. The nation's industrial sector comprises the iron and steel industry, which is so valuable that the country is one of the top 10 steel manufacturers worldwide. There's the rising automobile industry, which is on course to compete with the established brands. Does Tata Motors ring a bell? Let me not forget to mention the country's complicated textile industry with both mechanized and hand-woven factories. Did you know India controls 30% of the world's jute? India earns excellent revenues from its jute production as it exports most of them to other countries. Number 4. Service sector. India's service sector is the biggest contributor to its economy, with a contribution of over 50% to the country's GDP, and it's still recording more growth. The sector makes the nation one of the heralds of the modern economics growth model, which is significantly different from the traditional economic model. Usually when a country is growing, it shifts from agriculture to industries, but this South Asian nation instead moved to a service economy. The service sector has contributed to the nation's growth and helped reduce poverty. Number 3. Agriculture. While vital to India's economy, agriculture is no longer the most significant contributor to the country's GDP. Before 2011, the agricultural sector contributed 43% to the country's GDP, and even though this is reduced to a little over 20%, over 70% of the rural areas in India still depend on agriculture. It's also the largest employer of Indians as it provided 43% of the labor force in 2021, and if you find that impressive, let me tell you the amount of food grain India produces. From 51 million tons in the 50s, the country has produced 5 times that between 2011 and 2012. Through agriculture, the country has found relevance on the world stage, and as we mentioned, that's the biggest contribution to the world yet. Number 2. Healthcare. India's healthcare helped the country get out of poverty in 2 ways. Firstly, the government improved the quality of healthcare. There was a national nutrition program that focused on mothers and their babies. Also, the country provided quality assurance mechanisms for public hospitals through working with the World Bank Group. Through their partnership with the World Bank Group, some states in India provided healthcare insurance to over 30 million people. And that's not all. 8 states had 100,000 centers with technology-based monitoring systems. With improved healthcare, citizens can take adequate care of themselves and be well enough to drive the country's development and growth. The second way healthcare has helped India not be poor is through employment. Get this, as of 2021, the Indian healthcare industry employed 10.6% of Indians, with women forming more than half of those employed. Now for the bonus. India's healthcare has improved so much to the point that the country is now a destination for medical tourism. With all this, can you see why the country is no longer poor? Number 1. Education. Successive Indian governments have always understood that it's through education that the country can enjoy human development, which could drive the nation forward. While the journey has been slow, India has been steadily improving its education. Did you know that the country spends about 2.9% of its GDP on education? Partnering with the World Bank Group, the country has created education programs that increased access to primary and secondary education for all genders. The country isn't done yet. The Indian government has also promoted the provision of more job-oriented education. The plan with this educational model is to boost the supply of trained and skilled employees. The resulting human capital development from the investment into education has reflected in India's growth and helped it to lift the country out of poverty. Education is the anchor that all the other reasons stand on. India's industrial and service sectors, which contribute almost 80% of the country's GDP, result from the country's commitment to education. As the country was being thorough with education, it also set its sights on healthcare. Statistically, 44 Indians escape extreme poverty as the country continues to work to improve its economic situation. The country has invested in education, healthcare, and industry and has diversified its economy to withstand shocks. However, there have been questions asked. Will this growth be sustained, or will it be a temporary thing? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you'd like to watch more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more.